Hello.
Hello.
We are live on YouTube. I just saw some bad news that unfortunately Bluey and Rusty have both been fatally run over retrieving a cricket ball from the highway.
That's not funny.
So there's no further details, but unfortunately that story's come to an end.
That's not funny.
It's very funny.
That was not funny.
It was funny
at all.
I
Who
think
was
people are
Bluey and
going a bit
Rusty?
overboard on Bluey.
Who's Bluey
That
and
was my
Rusty?
Can't Let It Go. So you've also ruined that.
Well, you could. I think the whole world knows about the Bluey cricket episode, and it's not like some masterpiece. It's like 7 minutes of cute entertainment.
Have you seen the State of Origin one?
Yes,
No.
that's an awesome one.
That's an awesome one. Yeah.
Yes. They
Yeah,
are
get on
talking about it
Bluey.
as, even though Ray Warren only did 99 games, that they're saying that they should count that as his 100th game.
That's true.
So R.I.P. Bluey and
I love
Rusty.
Bluey. It's awesome. I didn't know Rusty. Maybe I don't follow the canon of it well enough to know, but I know there's Bluey and Bandit and Bingo
Rusty's
and Chili.
the cricketer. Rusty's the Donald Bradman of the show.
I haven't seen that
Rusty's
one
your
yet.
jam. Can you do some stats on Rusty?
Well, I'll have to watch
Well,
the
he's
episode.
dead now, so.
Menace.
Shut up.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Cricket Unfiltered. I am Menace, joined by Jelisa Apps in studio. One way to get around all the technical problems is bring her in person.
And Paul and my HR issues.
Yes, and Paul is dialed in from his house, so the rumors can persist that they cannot be in the room together. Welcome,
Maybe
Paul.
We've never been seen together in the same room.
Have you ever actually met in person?
I'm actually I'm under house arrest. I don't know why, but
yeah,
there's a huge
the
cage around
rumours
me.
gonna start.
Anyway, we have got a massive show. There is a lot to get into. We have an Ashes preview. There's lots of listener questions. But first, let's just wrap up a few of the World Test Championship talking points. I'll start with you, Jelisa. Do you think Shubman Gill's 15% fine was enough for what he tweeted out?
Was it Paul who said? Was it you, Paul, that said it was paid? It was a paid tweet.
No, not me.
Oh, someone was it you, Menace? Someone
put it on Twitter, I think.
put it on
Pritam,
Twitter
maybe
and
one of
said
our
it-
listeners.
Yeah, maybe. That said it was a paid tweet, which I thought was quite funny. I didn't have the extreme reaction that everyone else had. I mean, yeah, I thought the fine was fine. The
Okay.
fine was fine.
The fine was fine? Paul, where do you sit on the 15%?
I think he should have got more. We talked about how they got 100% for their match fee already, so he's already made a loss for playing in the game. But it wasn't the biggest crime in the world. But I did feel for the. I thought it cast aspersions on the professionalism of Richard Kettleborough, and I think that the umpires need protection. So I don't say that he should have been hung out to dry, but I think 15% was a little bit light, and I reckon it shows that the ICC are probably a little bit nervous that they thought if they go much harder, then the BCCI will suddenly arc up and say, guess what? The IPL now goes for 12 months. Good luck.
It's true. That's the sad reality.
Yeah, I mean, I think he deserved the fine, obviously, but I thought it was fair what it was in the end.
I think it could have been a bit more. I'd have liked to have seen him maybe banned for life.
Oh,
But falling short of that, I think
you're always so measured.
I think a test ban would have been appropriate because of what Paul was saying, that you just cannot undermine the umpires like that. And I give someone a lot of leeway for doing something in the heat of the moment. I'm an emotional guy. The catch is taken, you're upset, that's fine. But when you go back and hours later tweet out something, that's premeditated and I think
It wasn't like
dangerous.
he tweeted about the umpires, though.
No, but it implies something.
Yeah.
And then the overrate fine, so 100% to India, 80% to Australia. I mean, it's not enough. Like, if they're just going to keep doing this.
Enough with the slow overrates.
Well, I mean, we keep on talking about it because it's ruining the game. That
Mhm.
you watch any day of Test cricket and say to yourself, that was a good day. Imagine how much better it would have been if we had, what was it on day one? Or was it day two that they had an absolute shocking level? You know, you could add another 80 or 100 balls spliced in between the balls that were there. And people are getting robbed of their entertainment. I mean, the broadcaster should say, we're not paying. We demand a discount for the fact that you didn't deliver the agreed upon content. The thing that's frustrating about it is we keep on talking about it. They could fix it overnight in one of any number of different ways. Just make penalties that are such that they realize, oh, we have to get on with things. Because there are so many instances where it's a captain talking to the bowler about whether he wants to make a fielding change or not. It's boring. Get on with it. I reckon maybe they should make a limit as to how many fielding changes they can make. You start the day with 3 slips in a gully, etc. And, you can make, just like rugby league, you got a set number of substitutions. You get a set number of fielding changes. And once you're done, you stick with the same bloody field for the rest of the day. That'd be fun.
I don't think finding match fees just works in general because they're so low in comparison to their actual salaries that who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't
It's
make
like a
dent.
parking fine for us.
That's right. I mean, I think the stats are that so Australia is paid about 18,000. Australian Test players get about 18 grand a match on top of their contract. So they'll find 80% of that, but then they split 1.6 million between the squad for winning the World Test Championship. So they don't really care, do they?
And then you add like their Australian contract on that anyway.
Exactly.
It's nothing to them.
And it's not as though we're expecting overrates of
They're doing it on purpose. Their accountants are saying, slow the overrates down.
Slow the overrates. We need another tax deduction. It's almost the end of the financial year. Do we have an end of financial?
I think you've cracked it. That's what they were doing.
We need an end of financial year sponsor.
But just, I think it's not as though we're expecting them to go back to the days of yore when, in the 1930s, they'd sometimes get in 22 overs an hour. I get it with DRS and concussion protocols and everything else. But they should say, if you don't meet your minimum standard of overs in the session, if you're 3 overs short, well, the start of the next session, you come out with 3 fielders missing or something like that for the first 3 overs. Something that is absolutely serious, and they'll just fix it overnight. And then we'd be able to stop talking about it and stop boring everyone with it.
They get a wicket back.
Well, I like suspending the captain because he's responsible.
Oh, of course. Oh, what a shock, Paul.
No. Or a pitch clock like they've got an MLB now. That would be all right.
Well, that has been suggested, and I quite like that. Anyway, it's disappointing, especially in the showpiece match, that would be such a feature. Also disappointing, after the Test match, Rohit Sharma said he thinks that the World Test Championship should be played over a 3-test series.
I heard that a bit.
Yeah, well, what do you think, Jelisa?
No. Otherwise, it's just another series. I like the showpiece of a grand final, and I think that was the whole point
It reminds you of NRL.
It reminds me of NRL, and you brought it up first. You brought it up first.
I did.
I like the showpiece and the build-up to one big occasion. I don't want another Test match series.
Absolutely. It makes no sense to drag it out. I mean, if it was a 3-test series, you're going to drag out the grand final over 3 weeks. And even then, you might have weather or other things play a part. So one and done. I like the 6 days. So you virtually guaranteed a result and it's all on the line.
But like the AFL, play it again if it's a draw.
Ooh. But they share the title at the moment. So you think play it again?
Yeah.
I think they should just play forever, like reserve 8 days and make sure they get a result.
I don't hate the 3-test notion. I do agree with you guys, though. There is something nice about a nice, clean-cut final. I just don't think it's realistic. I just don't think that the schedule could fit it in. But if it was to be, say, 1 test in Australia, 1 test in India, and then 1 test in England to conclude it, so you conclude it in a neutral venue if it's 1-1, that could be okay. I'd be up for that. I don't think it's sour grapes, of Rohit Sharma saying it. I think he was just making the point. In an ideal world, it would be all right, but you're right. Even in the Soccer World Cup, it's not the fairest way, as Pat Cummins said. The fairest way, what did he say? Would have a 50-test match final. That would certainly. I'd be up for that as well. Just 50 weeks, a couple of weeks off for Christmas, and away you go again.
But if that was the case that you were going to play 3 tests, say in this series, in this championship, it's not realistic with the Ashes. Like Australia just couldn't do it.
Well, no, and India couldn't do it either.
No,
you look
true.
at the IPL and their commitments. It's folly to think of it's folly for Sharma to suggest that in that.
The only reason I'm not more angry about it, I'm not angry about it at all, is that if it did happen, it would mean 2 more showpiece Test matches at a time when Test cricket is struggling. That's the sort of other appeal that it would have for me.
But don't you think if you're trying to bring casual fans in, it's just an easy sell? This is one game.
Yeah.
The winner is the champion. That's it.
Yeah, but I'm also saying if there was another match taking place starting in 2 days' time in India, there would be huge interest as well.
That's true. In India especially. All right. Now let's get into our let's get into our Ashes preview. So many issues floating around this series. Firstly, I guess, Jelisa, what's your level of excitement going into this Ashes series? Because you're going to be there.
Yeah. I'm really excited for it, particularly with how Australia played against India. I was a bit concerned heading into that fixture. Now I'm a little bit more excited. And I also feel a bit more excitement around than I expected. Like people that are casual observers of cricket are excited for the Ashes, which is awesome when it's over there and it's not the most it is kind of time zone friendly, but there's a lot going on in other leagues and other sports and that kind of thing. I'm starting to feel the excitement a lot more, and I'll be at Headingley, so I'm super excited.
Paul, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm massively excited. I'm always excited for the Ashes. I think I'm more excited for this than any Ashes that I can ever remember.
Really?
Yep. I mean, in hindsight, 2005 is by far the best Ashes I've ever seen, and I was very excited for it leading into 2005. But obviously, I didn't know it was going to be that good. But so in the lead up, I think this is the most excited I've ever been. The only sour note for me is that, unlike you, I'm not going to be over there. Which, if it's an absolute thriller, and if it's 5 ties or something like that, and afterwards they declare that the Premier League's over and England's just going to play cricket and et cetera, part of me will be like a little bit sad, thinking I really should have been there. So that's the only sour note for me. And after the experience of the World Test Championship, I don't think I'm quite as good at the late nights as I once was, and that was my main strength in life. And so if I'm struggling to start watching cricket late at night, then I don't know what I've got left.
Given my track record with particularly overseas cricket matches, you'll expect the first day of Headingley to be rained out.
So you're to blame if that happens.
Absolutely.
I'm excited, but I must admit the Ashes doesn't bring out my best qualities.
What would you call your best qualities, though? Because I suspect the best qualities that you would call and the best qualities that maybe someone would value might be different.
Like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm actually like the hate for the English is just sort of bubbling up inside.
Okay.
Yeah, like I really just want to fucking beat them. Like I don't like a lot of the English commentary around the series. I don't like their arrogance. I don't like their smugness.
Sometimes they're whinging.
They just wind me up.
They can get a bit whingy.
Yeah, like I listen to some cricket podcasts.
Don't do that.
I'm not going to listen to any more because I'm starting to hate them. I'm going to listen to Aussies, and I can't, like, it's like the same with South Africa. Like, the emotion stirred in me, and it's different to India. It's different to any other opponent. Like, there's something like, because I actually don't like parts of I don't like all the English people, and I don't like the culture, and it just, I can't help it.
Okay.
Cheerio to all those people listening in England. Thanks for your
that's
been a great journey.
To me. I just admitted
this reminds me, I know you're going to hate this too, but it really is a shame you don't follow rugby league, because this is like what we need. This is what the New South Wales Blues, the fans that they need, and this is what Queensland have.
I'm the opposite.
All right. Well, look, let's get into
I'm not just saying this to. I'm not just saying this to be sycophantic to our English friends or try to redress the balance and stop them all from leaving after that outburst. But I enjoy all the podcasts that the English do much more than I enjoy the Australian podcasts. I think they're generally a better standard, and I'm fascinated by I could listen to them review and preview Ashes all day long and all night long. I think they're wonderful.
Yeah, I listen to them too, but it just brings out these feelings in me, Paul.
You need to go to therapy. The hate that you have is a bit much.
Yeah.
Well, I think they deserve it. Like, they really, like, they're so smug about this Bazball too. Like, they think they're going to just smash us. And
I don't think they are.
They're not.
Really?
No, I think there's a lot of people that are doubting Bazball.
Maybe I'm not hearing enough of them.
Are you hearing that, Paul?
I'm hearing a lot of people doubting Bazball, but from the players themselves, all I hear is respect. That they're confident, but they respect the Australians. I think that
I don't mind the players.
Oh, okay.
Like, the English squad's actually kind of likable.
Well, who do you think's playing?
No, like, I don't like the English people, like the country. Like,
you're being You're venturing into dangerous, mean
Look,
territory.
this is just what the Ashes does to me. And
No,
have you heard the way they talk about the Aussies? Like the feeling is mutual.
I have to say, over there for the Rugby League World Cup, they were very nice people and very accommodating.
Really?
Oh my God, they were so lovely.
Oh, good.
Everyone
That's-
was
yeah.
so kind and lovely and helpful that it actually took a little bit of the sting out of the Ashes for me.
I'm sure they're not. I don't know.
That's the experience I've always had.
They're so
I remember being
helpful.
at Edgbaston, the first ever Ashes that I'd ever been to. That after the 2013 test at Edgbaston, when Australia had a shocking day, and I was there alone. This massive plumber who'd been drinking with all his mates took pity on me and just started buying me drinks just because I was an Aussie, and he felt sad that I was my
They
team
love
weren't
an
performing
Aussie.
so well. They're lovely, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you
Miserable.
think? What do you think my experience will be over there? What do you think they'll hate me?
No, I think they'll be really nice to you. I think if you tell them you're part of Cricket Unfiltered after this rant, they'll welcome you with open arms.
Yeah, I won't be doing that.
Anyway, no, look, I just want to beat them. Like, jokes aside, I'm sure most English people are fine. Okay.
I want to beat
Imagine
them.
if you
just
married
give them
one. Imagine
5
if you
minutes.
married someone from England. How would that be?
Well, okay. Do you want to go into the psychology of maybe where this hate comes from, Paul? Maybe that's a different podcast.
For those not knowing, Menace's wife is English.
Yes, man. I was sitting here thinking that the whole time. I was thinking, God, you're really offending some family members.
I'm glad he doesn't listen to this. But look, let's get into some talking points around where I think this series will be won and lost. And when I go through most of this, I actually mark Australia pretty well. So I'm really confident going into the series. We'll start off with, something that came out in the World Test Championship final was that Australia had a very poor catching rate in the last cycle, the third worst of any test side, 75% only. And that is a concern to me heading into the Ashes with chances flying into the slips. I know you two think I'm, too critical of McDonald and Cummins for not letting the team train, but that is a stat that can't be argued with.
No, I do want to argue with it. I've actually prepared a 1 hour little lecture that I'm going to give now
Okay, good.
on catching stats. No, the only thing I'll say is that when you just purely do what percentage were caught, I think you've got to take into account what percentage were difficult, what percentage were easy. And maybe over a long period of time, that percentage does ring true. But I just did it for this test match, just as an exercise then for half an hour after seeing your point in the notes. And to the best of my knowledge, in this test match, Australia caught 13 of 16, so an 81%, and India caught 12 of 13, so 92%. But then when I go back at each catch and work out, in my opinion, how difficult it was and how many runs they saved. So, for example, given throughout history, a test wicket's been worth about 30 runs. Cameron Green's brilliant catch saved 30 runs for the team, but his shocking catch cost the team 30 runs and so on. When I do that, it comes out for the entire match that India...
How do you calculate that?
So just a percentage. So if I say I think that catch would have been caught only 10% of the time by a decent fielder, then they've saved 90% of 30 runs. That's 27 runs to the good. So that's how I calculated. And when I do that, total for India is they were 71 to the good, and Australia were 108 runs to the good. Factoring in that, yes, Australia dropped some catches, and Green's one was an absolute sitter. But the two catches that Green caught and the catch that Steve Smith caught were spectacular. Shubman Gill took a very good catch for India as well. They dropped a pretty easy catch on the boundary. So I think sometimes there's more to it than just fielding percentage. And I still think Australia is, in my opinion, probably the best fielding side in the world.
I'm not sure about the math there, Paul. I always trust your math. I'm not sure if can we quantify catches like that.
Well, I think if you say that 30 runs has been throughout the history of the game, that's about what an average batter scores. If you divide the total number of runs scored by the total number of wickets. So if I take an absolute sitter, then that everyone would have caught, I should get no credit for that because it's not doing anything. But if I take a catch that about 50% of people would have dropped, then that's half of that. That's 15. If I take a catch that pretty much everyone would have dropped, that's 30 runs. If you're interested, I wrote a piece about it a few years ago. Harsha Bogle retweeted it with great commendation.
Okay.
And it's kind of similar to what CricViz do. The big difference between them and me is that they actually take into account how many runs were cost actually in the match. So if you drop someone on 2 and they go on to get 200, then you've cost yourself 198. And I think that's wrong, because it shouldn't take into account the skill of the batter. It should just be a pure fielding measure, and you don't know when you're dropping someone how good they are necessarily. So anyway, I can certainly give you more information on it offline if you'd like, Jelisa. It's a fascinating topic.
Thank you.
I just think Australia should take the hard ones and the easy ones as well. Like, I think that,
they should.
That is traditionally.
Yeah. I don't know why they don't, Menace. If you should be the coach, tell them that.
I will.
I think it might be symptomatic of our aging team.
Perhaps.
I think it's just a fact of life.
Well, I think
that as you get into your early 30s, you don't
late 30s,
your reflexes aren't not what they used to be.
But do you think, though, that could be decisive in this series, the catching?
Potentially. And it's also disappointing because we've always prided ourselves on the catches. Like, we've always been a team that has always been pretty good in that area.
I guess for me, I think England won't. I think we'll catch about the same. Like, I don't think England are a great catching side.
I think they're the 2 best catching sides in the world, probably.
All right. Well, we're just going to argue about this. Let's move on. So the other big key, I think, as well for England is Stokes' left knee. How much can he bowl in this series? Because they're looking at going in with 3 quicks and then Mo and Ali. They'll really need Stokes to be able to bowl 15 overs a day.
I don't know if they will. I mean, if the wickets are flat, then I agree with you. And having a look at the Edgbaston pitch, from what we've seen so far of it, the shots. What's today? We're recording this 2 days before the test. It looks remarkably brown compared to what I might have expected. So if it's a really flat surface, then potentially they will need something out of Stokes. But I think that with Ali and Root can bowl reasonably tightly, I don't think he'll need to bowl as much. And I still think when required, he will be able to bowl the odd decent spell.
I tend to agree with that.
I just think if it turns out after 1 or 2 test matches he's struggling, then I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on England, because you look at their aging bowlers, Broad and Anderson. Wood's no spring chicken. So I think if you look at the matchup between Green bowling 10 or 15 really good overs a day and keeping all our bowlers fresh, as opposed to what maybe Stokes can offer, I think there's a slight edge for the Aussies there.
It's interesting hearing Michael Vaughan talk about the fact that they all are a bit underdone, the English, that several of them haven't played much cricket and they've been on the golf course, and he's got concerns about that. And it does seem reasonably well founded, especially if this Edgbaston pitch is going to be flat. I don't understand why they would want to produce. I understand why, because that's the way that they play, but I think that's playing into Australia's hands if they produce flat pitches.
Someone said, was it Hazelwood said that in the last couple of days?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that seems to be well, I said it when we had Norcross, that I thought England's best chances were getting us on green tops, with maybe if they can get a bit of cloud overhead. You can't control that, but if that's the situation, then that's when someone like Anderson comes into his own, and Broad, and we've seen what they can do to Australia. Whereas sort of a dry, patchy pitch, that sort of fits into, like, Smith will just be able to park at one end and you won't be able to get him out.
I suppose they're thinking that will play into the style of attacking cricket that they're going to play, and that players like Duckett and Crawley and Brooke will appreciate that. And I get that. And it's going to be fascinating, because I think that their rampant aggression will be a very good way of playing. But I think that in general, every batter struggles on a green pitch under overcast conditions. I think Australian batters struggle more than English batters do. And in general, every bowler struggles on flat pitches. But I think Australian bowlers struggle less than English bowlers do. Anderson has been far less effective in Australia. You look at Boland, who has a very, very decent record, often bowling back in the day on, thankless, dead pitches at the MCG. If he gets something like that in England, it's nothing different to what he's used to succeeding on.
Agree. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back to talk about Pat Cummins' captaincy.